Today, we will be playing traditional sports and games.
In choosing the first baka, all players must place a hand over another and at the count of 3 they release their hands simultaneously, either showing palms up or down. The player who displays a different position of the hand from the rest should be the first baka or it. The baka then assumes his position at the designated jumped over spot. On the first level, he takes a crouching position and the rest of the players jumped over him, one after another. When all the players have jumped over, the baka raises his position a bit higher for the next level. He repeats this process until he reaches the standing position or until a jumper errs. The jumper must spread their legs wide apart to avoid hitting the baka when they jump. The jumper who hits the baka will take the place of the baka, and the baka now becomes a jumper. When the level goes higher, the jumper may use his hands for balance by putting them together over the baka. No equipment is required in playing luksong baka. Two players on the base sit facing each other, putting a foot forward and touching the other player's foot. Then, each member of the other team starts jumping over the feet. When all members are done jumping over the feet, the players on the base add a hand at a time. The palm and fingers are open wide above their feet. The same process is repeated until all the base players have piled their hands. When all the jumpers have successfully jumped over without hitting the hands of the base players, the game is repeated with the jumpers leaping over again. If the mother's children hit the hands of the base players, it's considered a fault. The mother then jumps for the erring child. If the mother fails in making a successful jump, it's time for the base players to take the jump. No equipment is required in playing this game. There are two teams assigned for each base. The base used before is a flat stone. This stone is approximately 5 to 10 inches in diameter and typically placed at the bottom of tree's trunk or side of a wall. The distance between two bases is good for about 30 to 50 meters for better allowance and mobilization. The goal of each team is to tag the other team's base using their feet, then shouting base. It is usual practice to guard your base by 1 to 2 persons while other players of your team are running to tag the opponent players or their base. The materials are any markers to be used as the base. Two sticks are used to play this game. One is about 2 feet long and other one is about half a foot long. A small hole in the ground is made where the smaller stick will be placed in one end at the bottom and the other end sticking out. The player will hit the smaller stick with the longer one so that the smaller stick flies to the air. At mid-air, the player then hits again the smaller stick with the longer one. This is repeated 3 times. Whoever hits it to the farthest distance wins the game. As punishment, the loser will be forced to shout the word "shato" without interruption while running back to the original starting place. They are split into 2 pairs with each pair facing each other. Members from both pairs face the center. Each pair then does a hand clapping routine while singing Bahay Kubo. In the middle of the song, each pair exchanges routine with each other. No equipment used in playing this game. Players draw a circle on the ground representing the moon and must stay inside the circle. Meanwhile, one player acts as the bakunawa. He may not enter the circle but must touch another player who is inside it in order to switch places. The materials used are a pair of bamboo stilts. Since we don't have bamboo, we just use different kind of stick. The first player that reaches the finish line without getting off the stilts wins. The material used is either chalk, water, or tape. The mechanics are the following. It It is played by two teams, passers and guards. Passers position themselves at the starting line. Guards must be positioned on the lines. They cannot step inside the squares. Guards can tag a passer inside the square if she or he is within reach. Passers cannot stay inside the squares and they have to try to cross the line. If a passer is caught, he or she will be eliminated. Once all passers are eliminated, the groups will exchange places. Once a player crosses the line and returns without getting caught, her or his group gets a point. The team is divided into two groups. At a given signal, the first player of team walks with his or her coconut shell towards the goal line. Upon reaching the goal line, he or she turns around with his stilt and returns to the starting line. The second, third, fourth, up to the last player will do the same. The first team to finish the race wins. The material used are a pair of coconut shells and rope. The sipa is thrown upwards for the player tossed using their foot. The player must not allow the sipa to touch the ground by hitting it several times with their foot. The player must count the number of times they was able to kick the sipa. The one with the most number of kicks wins the game. The equipment used is a washer. One pair faces each other from a distance and has the garter stretched around them. The members of the other pair then begin doing a jumping routine over the garters while singing a song. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Each level begins with the garters at ankle height and progresses to higher positions with a player jumping nimbly on the garters while doing their routine. The equipment used is either strong stretchy garter or tied rubber band. Players must have sleepers to hit the can precisely. The it must never go to the player's zone unless he or she will tag a player without sleepers. Players must never go to the it zone unless he or she throws the sleepers. Players must throw the sleepers or else he or she will be the it in the next round. The it will never tag a player if the can is knocked out. The materials used are empty can and sleepers for pamato. This game is where players should hold the ball called holen in their hand and throw it to hit the player's ball out of the playing area. Whoever obtained the most marbles wins the game. Players can also win the game by eliminating their opponents by aiming and hitting his marble. All we need to have is a marble. The it player should close her eyes while singing. After the countdown, the it person will find the other players. He or she will shout the name of the person seen, then that person will be the next it. Hiding players can save themselves by touching the base while the it person is looking. Once they save themselves, they cannot be caught. No equipment required in playing this game.
Tagu-taguan, maliwanag ang buwan. Magsarap maglaro sa kadiliman ng buwan. Pagbilang kung 10, nakatago na kayo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, 10.
Contestants try to climb the pole in turns to secure the prize, and anyone who fails to reach the top is disqualified. The winner is the one who succeeds in reaching and untying the prize or retrieving the flag. The materials here are bamboo pole and a flag. Since we don't have bamboo pole, we just used coconut tree.